Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. This is Teresa from Teresa's Crafty Cabana. Today I'm going to show you how to do a mirrored stamping using your Gelli Plate. I have seen this technique used on some clear acetate, even on like the backing sheet of some of your stamps, and I've tried it and it's gotten some decent results, but I just wanted to see as a test if it would work using it on my Gelli Plate. And then as I was kind of thinking this through, I thought, why don't I leave my Gelli Plate inside the clamshell and see if it kind of doubles as like one of the stamping tools, like you see here, the Tonic Studio one, or the Misty is a similar one as well. So if you don't have a stamping tool, this might be an option for you if you have a Gelli Plate in a clamshell. And first I'm going to show you my test with stamping this little chipmunk onto the Gelli Plate with I'm using Pumice Stone, so it's a pretty light gray color, but I'm going to be doing a kind of like a no line watercoloring to it. So for this one I didn't press very hard on the stamped image. I did it twice. It's still kind of light, so that was me kind of being gentle. Now I pressed a lot harder and pressed right into that same spot. And then I'm going to take the other side of that piece of paper. This is watercolor paper. It's the Canson XL 140 pound. And you can see this one turned out a little bit darker. Now these aren't going to be perfect like you're stamping exactly, but if you're doing like a watercolor, or if you do the alcohol inks, the markers, you can definitely get a result that gives you a mirrored image, and I think it does pretty well. You could even trace over the image with, say, a black marker if you wanted it to have like a really bold edging to it. So here I wanted to show you what it would look like if I just used this clamshell to stamp onto my piece of paper. And then here you'll see the difference between the one I pulled off of the Gelli Plate, the mirrored image on the top, and then the one I pushed down into the paper, just like a stamping platform. And then to clean off the extra ink from my gel plate, I just used 91% alcohol. So to color in my little chipmunk, I am using some Pumice Stone for a light gray kind of undertone. Then I'm going to use the Vintage Photo to give him a brown color, him or her. And then the Antique Linen is going to be for around the eyes and the little stripe down the back. Next I wanted to use my die cut that came with this set, but it will only cut it out the right way that you stamp it. So what I did is I used a light to line it up behind it, and then used a piece of tape, ran it through my die cut machine, and then I actually ran it through without the plate to flatten those edges because they get curled kind of inwards. So next I'm going to try to see what this kind of fake stamping platform, how it works with multiple images on the platform here, on my Gelli Plate. And so I'm just kind of lining these up. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to do a no line watercolor on these, so I'm going to keep using the this time I'm going to use the Hickory Smoke oxide ink and just show you what that looks like. And I did a lighter application so that I could do a second application of the ink and see how well it does lining up on top of itself. Now I will say this ink is probably not the best ink, so two things kind of going against this technique is I'm using watercolor paper, which is cold pressed, so it already has kind of a texture to it. And then I'm using these Distress Oxide inks, which are kind of like a watery based ink, a little bit. So I guess if I really wanted to see how well it works, I could use a like just regular 110-pound copy or cardstock paper with my VersaFine Onyx black ink. And then this is the color palette that I use to color in my images. I smush a little bit of the ink onto a cutting board that I got from Dollar Tree. It's a 2-pack flexible cutting board, and it works really great as a little palette for my Distress Oxide inks. You could use the regular Distress inks if you have those. Or really, I think any of the dye inks on the market these days would work great as a little watercolor palette. You could even use watercolors. So I'm just going to go through and show you how I colored in these images. I'll speed it up a little bit, play some music, and join you back here when I'm moving on to the next part. So as my final test, I did want to do this little cornstalk or leaf shape in a mirrored image, and then that will be the last part of this video, is just kind of showing you one more time the mirrored image with a larger stamp. And I'm not going to show coloring that, but you get the idea. I used the same coloring technique to color in this other reversed image of the little images here. So that finishes up the video today. I hope you learned something new and give this a try. It's super cool to see all the different uses a Gelli plate can have. So if you have one, I suggest giving it a try. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.